This is Justin Germino from DragonBlogger.com, and I'm here with my review of the Dragon Touch i8 Windows tablet. This is the first Windows tablet from Tablet Express, and the i8 uses Windows rather than an Android, and it's interesting having a Windows 8.1 on a tablet without having a keyboard and a mouse and being truly just touch accessible on a Windows tablet. First of all, the Dragon Touch i8 has 1 gig of RAM, 16 gigabyte of NAND flash. One of the things I could say right off about it is I wish it had more memory, because unlike Android, Windows itself consumes a lot of the storage on this device. So 16 gig isn't really enough for Windows. I found that it comes with a year of free Office 365, but just installing Office 365 plus Windows consumes almost all your 16 gigabytes of free, leaving you with only a handful of megabytes to install applications. So really, you can't get more than 3 or 4 apps on it if you have Office installed. And one of the main reasons why you want a Windows tablet is so you can have that full Office experience. You know, edit your Excel docs, your Word docs natively with the Windows app. I really like the way Microsoft has their live setup. It syncs with my desktop. I get my Star-Lord desktop wallpaper for Guardians of the Galaxies. I have all my OneDrive documents. It's basically in tune and in sync with my PC all the time, which I really like as part of the OneDrive feature of Microsoft. I've gotten used to the Windows 8 touchscreen. It works out pretty well. The touchscreen itself is pretty responsive. I don't say I overly like Internet Explorer as a browser, but you just install Chrome or Firefox or whatever you want, and it functions just fine. Getting used to the Windows tablet and how it works was the hardest thing for me. I've never used it on a tablet. I'm always used to using Android or iOS tablets. So there's certain things that you feel handicapped on when using Windows tablet. Not having the desktop so easily, not having that mouse to click on stuff on the desktop is really hard. Some things you'll notice about the Dragon Touch i8 tablet, and this is a Windows issue, not an issue with the tablet, is that the Windows App Store is very limited. There's a very small number of apps compared to Android or iOS. So that's something to consider, that you're not going to have nearly as many apps in Windows as you will in Android. But you can install desktop programs like you do for any Windows, provided that they work. Because this isn't Windows RT, this is full Windows 8.1. So you can install desktop Windows applications, but considering that you have very, very little storage, you don't have a lot of room. Although it does take an SD card, and Windows sees an SD card as another drive, and you can install apps to that drive, not from the Windows App Store, but desktop apps you can install that drive because it's a separate drive. So it does allow you to install more desktop apps. But again, without the mouse, without the keyboard, unless you use a Bluetooth keyboard, it's a little hard to navigate around the desktop portion of a Windows 8 tablet without that mouse. So, I had some simple little games installed on it, and they work just fine. I haven't had any lag with the little games. You can install like Hearthstone on it because there's no Hearthstone app in the App Store. Plus, it only has 1 gig of RAM, which isn't enough really to play Hearthstone anyway. But it plays games fine. The camera is actually pretty good for a tablet. I really enjoyed the camera. The Windows experience is decent. You get to your news. I like the live tiles on the home screen. There's some things that I like about Windows. From the lock screen, you have easy access to the camera, and some of your apps you could put on the lock screen, so you get your notifications and you could read some information right on the lock screen without even having to bother to unlock it. It's got a pretty good volume, pretty good sound. Battery life is just around 3 hours in constant active use, and it pairs really well with a Bluetooth keyboard. I've used it several times with a Bluetooth keyboard. The Windows button here on the side, this is basically like your home button, which takes you to your home screen. The power button also acts as the lock button, and that is right here. You got your volume buttons right here. And then you've got your micro USB charging, which is really good, your headphone port, and HDMI output. So it can HDMI output to a TV or a screen if you have the right HDMI cable. One thing about Windows is knowing the commands, like the slide up, slide down. Closing applications is important. It's just like Android. If you tab out or hit the Windows key and you leave an app, you're leaving that app running in the background. You're gonna hog your resources fast, and you're gonna make it slow down. You need to remember to close out of the app. Now, going into the task manager is a bit of a pain on this because you have to search for it, you have to find it, and open it up, and then kill your apps. Unlike the Surface Pro, you could simply hold the Windows button and the lock, and it'll give you access to go to Task Manager right away. You don't have any shortcuts with the buttons to go to Task Manager, unfortunately, with this tablet. It doesn't do some of the shortcut Windows down screenshots either. So I wish Tablet Express would have built in some of that functionality to where you can hold the Windows button down and use some of the buttons to leverage some of those shortcuts that other Windows tablets have. Again, minor quip. This is a $100 tablet, just over $100 Windows tablet. So you get a lot of features for $100. Consider the fact that most Windows tablets are well over $400 or $500. You're getting a pretty decent budget Windows tablet for just over $100. So just knowing that it has some storage limitations, you're definitely going to want to throw an SD card in right off the bat, 32 gig SD card, just to install some desktop apps and have some extra room. Other than that, it's a pretty good tablet. It will have a little bit of latency issues, especially if you have multiple apps running and you have a lot of live tiles running that are feeding information. So be aware of your running apps, your live tile apps, and you shouldn't have a problem with it, though. The quad-core processor, the Intel Atom, is pretty good in this. So this is my video review of the Dragon Touch i8 tablet, and we are giving one away on DragonBlogger.com, so you can enter to win one. And stay tuned, we'll always be giving away more tablets from Tablet Express. Thank you for watching.